Some things are impossible to know, but it is impossible to know these things.
Hello, good day, and welcome to
Paul Schindler. Podcast on Things is here for you.
Not surprisingly, I'm your host, Paul Schindler. Thank you for listening. Garrison Keillor is canceled, but he's still funny. He offers this joke. The old man walks into the Mermaid Lounge and sits at the bar next to a handsome young woman and says, "Do I come in here often?" I have a dog in this fight. Here are issues I care about, no matter how silly. Language usage. Prescriptive or descriptive? Prescriptive. There have to be rules somewhere. America needs something like the Académie Française. Cane sugar versus high fructose corn syrup. Cane sugar. That's why everyone who can get it drinks Mexican Coke. I drink craft soft drinks, including Henry Weinhardt, for the same reason. Corn syrup offers a soft, mushy taste. Hit me with the cane. Fewer versus less. May I say fewer on the subject? May I say less on the subject? How much versus how many? If you can count it, how many? If you measure it in a cup, how much? I told my grandson water is how much, and he said, unless you freeze it into cubes, and then it's how many. Over versus more than. There was a time when one wrote more than $1 billion. Standards have slipped. Are you in a hot air balloon or at the top of a tall ladder when you are over $1 billion? Quotes. Albert Einstein said logic will get you from A to B. Imagination will take you everywhere. Mahatma Gandhi's political advice: before you act, if you are confused or have difficulty knowing what to do, think of the poorest person you have met and ask yourself, will this act be of any benefit to them? Good political advice. I'll read that again. Good political advice for some people in this country. Humor columnist Dave Barry offers medical advice. Never, under any circumstances, take a sleeping pill and a laxative on the same night. The BBC radio program, I'm Sorry I Haven't a Clue, has a clever closing line each week. Here are some of them. As the bowling ball of time rolls down the lane of life towards the pins of destiny, on behalf of myself and the whole crew here at PS, a podcast on things, say good night, Paul. Good night, Paul. Well, all good things must come to an end, and so must this program. And with the big hand pointing upwards and my little hand pointing downwards to my digital watch, I notice that it's time to go. Well, they do say that time flies when you're having fun, and to prove it, I notice my sundial has stopped. Ladies and gentlemen, as Wee Willie begins the frantic search for his Winky, I notice that we've run out of time. Well, with Mickey Mouse's big hand pointing upwards and Goofy's tail pointing downwards, I realize my Rolex is a fake. Well, a quick glance at the time tells me it's fast coming up to 8,100 hours, which means, of course, that I put my digital watch on upside down again. Ladies and gentlemen, one glance at my diver's watch tells me that I've probably drowned. Well, as I see that the sands of time are being washed by the tide of eternity, it's time to decide whether tide's kinder on colored fabrics than our usual brand. Well, as the burnished chariot of fate is wheel-clamped by the traffic warden of eternity, and so, as we rapidly approach the bus stop of the apocalypse, I notice the 4 horsemen have all gotten off at the same time. And so, as the vanquished... I'll say that again. And so, as I notice the eternal flame of hope has just been put out by the fire officer of destiny with the sand bucket of fate. And so, as the Ford of time fails the emissions test of eternity, and the dappled donkey of fate ambles towards the abattoir of destiny. And so, as the rock of ages is cleft in twain by the karate chop of fate, I notice it has souvenir of Orinda marked all the way through it. And so, as the frisky tomcat of fate confronts the scalpel of... I'll read that again. And so, as the frisky tomcat of fate confronts the scalpel of destiny, and the precious natural woodland of time meets the freeway of eternity, and so, as the Labrador puppy of time scampers off with the toilet roll of destiny, it's time to bid the whining little child of show business adieu once more. And so, as the sand castles of destiny are washed away by the incoming tide of time, it is clear that the grim lifeguard of doom will shortly be upon us. And so, as the boiling water of time collides with the sweet and sour instant pot snack of fame, I notice the tomato sauce of destiny has accidentally been left inside. And so, as the still warm seat of eternity is lifted by the cleaning woman of time before she brandishes aloft the toilet brush of destiny, and so, as the dandruff of time is confronted by the shampoo of destiny and the single sock of fate succumbs to the dryer of eternity, and so, as the plastic duck of destiny has been sunk by the loofah of fate, and old Father Time has gone wrinkly in the bathwater of eternity, it must be time to pick out the short hairs of hope from the plug hole of infinity. And so, as the relentless juggernaut of time runs over the final raccoon of hope, and the last traffic cone of fate is removed by no one, and so, as the delicate mayfly of time collides with the speeding windshield of fate, and the angry wasp of destiny flies up the pants leg of despair, walk-off music. But first, that's my opinion. I'm Paul Schindler. Thanks for listening. Today you'll hear My First Real Kiss Made the Room Swirl. It's my first song for a female vocalist, and one of my very few songs that is not about my wife. It's about a woman I had a crush on 50 years ago, and the night she fell in love with the other guy.
My first real kiss made my toes curl, made the room swirl, made me feel like a girl in love. Was I stirred by love or lark as we stood there in the dark? Maybe both or just a whim. Why that night and why with him? This was a guy I hardly knew, who didn't know what I would do. 6 foot tall with deep blue eyes, I scared some other guys. He was staring for a while. He looked good, he had his style. Spent his time with other girls. Would he just give me a whirl? My first real kiss made my toes curl, made the room swirl, made me feel like a girl in love. I walked behind and tapped his shoulder. I could not have been much bolder. He turned and I could see his lips were ready for a long, firm kiss. Kissed him with a playful heart as I welcomed Cupid's dart. I'd kissed and been kissed before. This was different, this was more. With eyes wide open, I felt bliss, melted by my first real kiss.